And hi there again, everybody. Welcome to Trailblazer Baseball and Softball this week. Rod Zundel, along with the Trailblazers head baseball coach Chris Pfatenhauer and the senior outfielder Hunter Katschke. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
All right, you had your second straight weekend series at Bruce Hurst Field here in St. George. You had a 4-game set with UC Riverside. You went 1-3. Last week you said you wanted to improve this weekend. Did you see the improvement that you wanted?
You know, offensively, we came out really hot. We scored 12 runs on Friday, which is what we wanted our offense to go a little bit more, and we did a lot of things we wanted to do. We kind of had our way from a power standpoint, a short game, and we really handled the bats well. And then they pitched the heck out of it the rest of the weekend, and we just kind of went dormant from an offensive standpoint. So we made some improvements, and then it just kind of hiccuped. And then, defensively we played really well week 1, and we didn't play so well week 2. But we're right where we want to be. We've lost, 3 one-run games and I think a 4-run game, and so, we're in every game.
Yeah. Hunter, you've been around for a while in this program, now in your senior year. What do you like about this team after the first 2 weekends?
Coming from last year to this year, I really like how much better of a gel we have with all the guys on the team. I feel like last year it could get a little cliquey at times, especially when times got hard, but I feel like especially in like the one-run losses, all the guys are coming together really well and staying all on the same end of the rope, and we just enjoy being around each other, so there's a lot more of a family aspect to it. And
you had a pretty darn good weekend. You had 7 hits and 6 RBI, including the second home run of your season. You're batting .355 in the first couple of weekends. Coach, he was on fire there for a couple of games.
That's why we recruited him, a couple of years ago and brought him here. And all-conference player last year, West Coast League, Summer League Player of the Year this summer. And he can have that kind of weekend every weekend. They pitch tough to him.
Yeah.
When you're the best guy in the lineup, they're going to pitch you tough. But he had a really good weekend, and he'll keep plugging.
And he had those hits with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
So, Hunter, when you talk about that, that's obviously a big part of baseball, getting the runners across home plate. Just talk about when you're up there and a runner's on second and third, and it's your job to get them in.
Growing up, especially like my first couple years in college, there were times where the moments would get big, and one of my favorite things I've learned from Fate was to just keep everything simple. Don't add on any more pressure than you already have, and just take it pitch by pitch. I mean, you have to be okay with getting behind in the count or finding a way to get ahead in the count to get the pitches you want to see. So all in all, it's really just about controlling your breathing, controlling your mental part of the game, and putting your swing on the ball.
And Coach, you rely on this guy, don't you? Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Not just on the diamond at the plate in the outfield, but in the locker room and in the pen.
Yeah, all of our older guys. We only have 6 seniors this year, on a 40-man roster. So some of those guys have been here 4 years, some have been here 2 years, but they're all really, really invested in what we do and support the coaching staff when we're not there. And they're like coaches in the cages or in the bullpen or on the field. So, yeah, we rely on him, and that whole group of seniors are paramount to our success and where we go this year.
Okay, I'm going to ask you both the same question. I want to see if the coach and player have the same answer. You head out on the road for the first time this year. You have 6 straight away from St. George. Wednesday, you begin at Irvine. Then you go to Portland. You have 4 there. You wrap it up a week from today on Tuesday against the Oregon Ducks. So, what do you want to accomplish, and what do you need to improve on, not as just an individual player, but as a team, for you to be successful and winning these road trips on the road?
For me, I would say it's mainly just about getting because we have a super young team, whether it's high school kids or JUCO kids. I feel like the biggest thing this week is continuing getting all the younger kids on the team, getting their feet wet and getting ready for conference play. We have a really tough schedule this week with Irvine and Oregon. So it'll be fun matchups, and I think that if we just play our brand of baseball, clean defense, and play with a small ball game and eventually run into some runs, I think we'll have a good shot at competing for a few wins this week.
Do you agree with that, Doctor?
There is a lot to that. Yes, we do. We are young in a weird way. We have a lot of juniors, but we have a lot of guys that it's their first time in Division I baseball, and we're playing 3 sophomores in the infield at times. So the more reps we can get those guys, the better off we're going to be. And our whole focus this year is getting into conference and having a chance to win the WAC. And so whatever that means in these first 24 games leading up to WAC play, we're learning a lot. We're trying to make sure we're either winning a game or we're learning. We're not losing. We're winning or we're learning. And through that, we're trying to develop and grow our young guys. So if we feel good about that at the end of this 6-game trip, then we will have accomplished a lot.
Hunter, you've been around for a while. You're a senior now. But for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're from Las Vegas. And tell us about that, growing up there and playing baseball there, other sports, your family.
Yeah, so I grew up in Vegas, started playing ball when I was 7. Dad put me straight into Little League, and then around 9 is when I started playing club ball. And baseball in Vegas is amazing. We have great coaches everywhere. Some of the most well-known coaches in the country come from Vegas. There's a lot of pro talent, and the pro guys in Vegas are awesome. They come back, they give back, they hang out with all the younger guys.
Well, that's fun as a kid, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And, like, my freshman year at UNLV, you'd show up to the field, and you'd have random big leaguers like Bryant, Stott, Amir Garrett, just Will Smith, just a ton of guys would always come back and hang out with the guys and check in on us. So that was always fun. And after my freshman year, I went to CSN, and that was probably one of the better decisions of my life.
Yeah, because you started at UNLV.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you went.
And then, so I got to CSN. I met Coach Nick Garitano, which is probably one of my favorite people in the world. He's such a great guy. Took me in, looked at me as like a son, and honestly looks at all of his players like that.
Yeah.
And he's probably one of the main reasons why I ended up here, because he gave such strong recommendations about this program, and everything he says I trust, and he was right about all of it. So. And
now you're wrapping it up in your final year, right? Are you on the COVID or any of those where you play for 6, 7, 8 years?
There is a supposed rule change that I don't think it's been cleared yet, but
right, yeah.
We're still working.
You're hoping, right?
We're figuring that out. We're working through that.
All right. Well, you got a fun road trip coming up. You leave Wednesday morning and drive to Irvine, right?
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And then you fly to Portland.
Yep.
Good
we're
competition.
excited.
I mean, you got to welcome that, guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We want to play the best, and we haven't really shied away from anybody in our first 5 years of Division I.
Yeah.
We don't have a ton of wins to show for it, but we've been in awesome atmospheres, played in amazing facilities against some amazing talent, and if we're not getting better from it, then we're not doing our job.
All right, starts Wednesday afternoon in Irvine against Irvine, then you head to Portland. Hunter Katschke, senior outfielder, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks
Coach,
for having me.
Thanks,
good
Rob.
luck.
Appreciate you.
You're going to be gone for a while. All right, next up, the softball story. They had a big tournament here in St. George. We'll talk about that with head coach Randy Simpkins and a special player. That's when we come back.
If you haven't seen Utah Tech University lately, chances are you haven't seen it at all. With hands-on polytechnic learning across 300 academic programs, 30 new and renovated state-of-the-art facilities, the most affordable university tuition in the state, and 300 days of sunshine, why look anywhere else? Discover why Utah Tech was recently named one of Education Magazine's 10 prominent universities and colleges to watch. Join us and experience the active learning, active life difference at Utah Tech.
And welcome back to Trailblazer Baseball and Softball this week. Rod Zundel here, along with the head softball coach for Utah Tech, Randy Simpkins, and senior outfielder Marissa Rubio. Marissa and Coach, thanks for coming by.
You bet.
Now, you guys had the Lyman Classic, one of your big tournaments here at Carl Brooks Field in St. George. You had some pretty darn good competition, too. You went 2-3 in those 5 games. Wins over San Diego and Weber State, then losses to Utah State and Boise State, 2 really good teams, and then to Idaho State. And, guys, you ran the gamut, a slugfest with the Aggies and the Boise State Broncos. This is hard to imagine. 57 total runs in 2 games between those teams. Then you had a 4-3 and a 6-5 loss, and then against Weber State on Sunday, a 1-hit shutout.
We finally got it right at the end. No, Boise's really good. They're a top 50 team. Utah State's as good as they've been in probably 10 years. They swing it really well. That game kind of got away from both of us. The strike zone was pretty small, winds blowing out. 2 really good hitting teams, and both teams' pitchers kind of struggled that game, so the score kind of got away from us. But no, we played really, really well at times.
Yeah. Marissa, you are a senior from Victorville, California. Pretty darn good numbers, too. 7 hits, 6 RBI in 5 games. You're so far batting .440 this season. You played 3 weekend series now. So just talk about your play, where you're at, your final year. You've been here for a number of years.
Yeah, it's kind of surreal with it being my last year. I feel like growing up, you always feel like it'll never end. And then now you're at that point where like, oh, I only got a few months left. So just trying to make the most of it, most of the time that I have left, trusting in my abilities to play well and to help my team above everything else, even beyond my stats and things like that.
We talked to Hunter Katschke with the baseball team just before you guys came on, and we talked about hitting with runners in scorers position. And you did that very well this past weekend. And I asked him the same question. Talk about that mentality when you're stepping up, knowing that it's your job to get them in.
Yeah, especially with like less than 2 outs, my bat, like me getting on doesn't really matter. I'm trying to help my team. So whether that comes in, there's a runner on third or a runner at second, and I got to hit a sack fly or something like that. I'm just trying to do anything to help my team. And if it works out and I get on base, then that's just a plus.
And Coach, what she said is true because she had a couple of sack flies over the weekend too. So she's not selfish.
No, she got us on the board early a couple of times, so that was really big. Got us on the board with our first run against Weber. But yeah, her numbers, if you look at her numbers for 4 years, her numbers with runners in scoring position are really, really good.
Yeah.
She's double tough with that. And just like she said, she's always taken a team first at bat. What do I got to do to get on? You know, she'll hit a deep sack fly, and then the next time, first pitch, she'll lay down a bunt for a base hit. So whatever the team needs, she does well.
And in softball, I guess you could say they're slap hitters and then they're the big hitters. You're kind of where in that realm?
Oh, back in the day I used to slap, but just started focusing on hitting, seeing what I liked best at that point. But I always keep my short game in my back pocket too to help the team out, especially, you know, when I'm looking at my fielders and seeing what it's given to me, especially if the corners are back.
Yeah.
Just drop a bunt down for a base hit.
Well, when you look at those highlights and when we watched you this past weekend, it wasn't a full-blown, let's make a big cut at it. You were placing your hits there, and you could tell that she knew what she was doing. I mean, is that kind of, am I right there, sort of?
Yes, for sure. You know, I feel like with it being me, I'm not much of a big girl, and I'm on the left side of the plate. You know, a lot of them are not sure if I'm going to slap or, you know, so they always try to position me in certain ways, and then I just take in what they give me and then try to do the best I can.
That's a skill. That's a talent, right? That's tough to do.
She's really good at it, and it's something we preach as a program. Be on time to the pitch you're given. You know, you got to have a plan. It's a team first plan. But what are you good at? What's the pitcher going to throw you? And have your barrel on time to where the pitch is pitched. Yeah. And she does a really good job with that.
Okay, you've had 3 weekend series now. Have you seen an improvement the way you wanted to each weekend?
Yeah, we've definitely gotten better. Pitching is still a work in progress, but we're young in a few spots. You know, we have one person back from our staff from last year, so that's still a work in progress. But they've been really, really good at times. You know, Riley Price has stepped up, Lexi Wilson stepped up. We just got Cameron Pickett back. Maddie Lucero is trying to get back, and we actually threw a position player, Sadie Gardner, in there to throw a couple of innings. And Sadie has a chance to be really good. She was a really good high school pitcher, but hasn't had to throw for 3 years, and we've been battling a few injuries. So we asked her if she could do it. She's like, Coach, whatever you need me to do.
And speaking of pitching, got to talk about the one-hit shutout. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
That's big time, yeah. It's probably I think she had a 2-hit shutout earlier this year against Riverside, the first game of the year.
Give her a shout out.
Yeah,
her name?
Soren Garten, Pendleton, Oregon.
Right.
Yeah, she's been big time for us. But she was really, really good. She's one pitch away from a no-hitter the other day.
Yeah.
A ball that just barely got over our right fielder. But no, she was really good, keeping hitters off balance. And then she had command of all 3 pitches: curveball, rise ball, change, and she could spot all 3 of those and was really good.
And playing defense when you know, and you can see there's only 1 hit or 0 hits on the scoreboard, what kind of pressure does that put on you guys in the outfield to make the play?
Yeah, it's definitely something that goes into the pre-inning, in between innings when we meet as an outfield before, you know, the inning starts. We're kind of just like, all right, guys, hold it down. You don't want it to be 2, to keep it at 1. So, you know, we can do that for our pitchers.
Yeah. And you know, right? I mean, you pay attention.
It's not something in the back of your head. It's always, it's always there.
And she's really good in the outfield. She has 2 errors in the last 3 years.
Really?
As an outfielder.
Wow.
So, and four total for her career. So I don't know if you knew that.
Okay, so are you more impressed with yourself of that or a game-winning run?
Oh, I've prided myself on defense a lot. I feel like when you mess up hitting, it's not as much embarrassing if you mess up on defense. So I try to pride myself on defense a lot. So.
Well, as an outfielder, you're the last line of defense. If you mess something up, it turns into a big inning.
Yeah.
And it sticks out like a sore thumb when you do that.
A little bit.
All right, so you're from Victorville, California. You're a senior. Talk about growing up, when you started playing, your family life, all that kind of stuff.
I grew up in Victorville, California. I have 6 other siblings, or 6 in total between all of us.
Right.
I started playing softball, I guess when I was like in kindergarten, when you play t-ball at that age. All my siblings played sports, and I kind of just followed my sister to play softball.
Where do you fit in that line of siblings?
As in, I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest?
I am the youngest.
Baby.
I'm the
They're
baby.
the best. Yeah.
Pride and joy.
So did you play competing against your older siblings and learn that way?
We were unfortunately too far apart in age to ever play
Okay.
together, with my older sisters being 4 years and then me and my other sister being 4 years. But I just kind of looked up to them, always kind of wanted to, you know, fill in their shoes, but also I always wanted to be better than them too and
Yeah.
have that one up. So,
And are you now?
oh, definitely.
What made you decide to come to Utah Tech?
You know, I was scared to go too far for like a drastic change. And with this only being about like 4.5 hours away from home, it's like far enough, but not too far from my family. Weather's great. I mean, it's kind of the same as like home for me too,
Yeah.
but I just get that away feeling from home too.
And you're glad she made that decision, huh?
Big time. She, like I say, she started her first game her freshman year against Ole Miss, so she's been really good for us for 4 years.
All right, you guys hit the road again, the Louisville Slugger Tournament in Long Beach, Cal, for 5 games, which includes the Pittsburgh Panthers. So some pretty good competition there. Then next week you start WAC play at Arlington, so it's here quickly, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We play Loyola Marymount, Pitt, Omaha, who's been a regional team for the past several years. So, and Long Beach is really good, and Cal Poly's good too. So no, it's no day off this week, and then our first weekend is on the road at UT Arlington. So it's go time for sure.
Now as a senior leader, you've got to relish in playing this great opponents, getting you ready for the WAC schedule, right?
Yeah, we kind of talk about it as a team. Like, obviously, we know these are like bigger teams that we have played in terms of competitive, like in a competitive sense. But we always try to stay true to who we are, have fun out there. That's a big thing for us. And when you know the vibes are up and we're all happy, having fun with each other, you know, keeping everything kind of lighthearted, we obviously play better. I mean, I feel like that's a big difference between maybe these past few years and this year. We have been playing more, you know, just having fun, trying to keep things light. But still being serious enough to take our competition seriously.
Well, as long as you're there, might as well get the wins, right? And then head into WAC play on a winning streak.
We hope so.
All right, safe travels. Good luck in your next games, and then starting WAC next week.
Thanks, Ron.
All right, that'll do it for this week in Trailblazer baseball and softball. Thanks for coming in. See you next week.